I'm excited today to welcome everybody back to the Resilient Minds podcast. Today we have two very important guests on the show, and I'm excited to really have this open conversation here because I think that this discussion is really integral for where we're headed as a family, as a community, and also in the level of responsibility we're collectively taking. So, joining us today, we got Alana and Sigitas, and I'd love both of you to really share a little bit more about yourselves and kind of what brings you to life, what inspires you, what you're up to in the world. And Alana, I'd love it if you can start, please. Ladies first.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
I think that's a beautiful question, and I appreciate that question. I feel like my time here is my days are numbered. All of our days are numbered, but this is very, very real to me. And having my second daughter, I died having her, and it was a beautiful experience, which has made me like not fear death anymore, because it was this like just kind of incredible experience of just being out of the body, no pain, it was just bliss. It was beautiful. But I had just had my daughter and my husband was over the body, and like everybody was really sad, and I felt kind of guilty because I was like so happy and so like, wow. But like this family that I'm responsible for that is there is very sad. And I just felt like, well, I'm not ready to go. And I remember just like collapsing all of my energy into the body and just waking up, and just suddenly I was like looking through my eyes again. And so since then, I mean, that an experience like that will change you. It's something that at the moment, it just happened. So you just kind of are like, oh, I'm alive. But it's a very clear point in my life when I started making different decisions about what to do next, before having her and after having her, after that moment. And since then, it's just, life is gone in an instant. And so you need to make decisions I need to make decisions that make this time on earth worth it, that make my time here push the world in a better direction. And because I feel like there are some nefarious games being played, and if you do nothing, they win, because that's all they're doing. That's all the focus. That's all their focus. And if you get distracted, they win. So for me, what winning is a happy world where everybody can be free and everybody can choose to live the life that they want to live in responsibility according to their community. And so for me, that's what winning would be. And I see a lot of losing right now, a lot of sadness, a lot of fear, a lot of conformity, a lot of those things. And for me, it's really not that hard. It became so clear to me that happiness and freedom is really all there is. It's just beautiful moments on earth. It doesn't even need to be this grandiose thing. And so anyway, so since for the last 9 years, and I've always been this way already, but for the last 9 years, I've only been making decisions about who to be friends with, what projects to work on, based on, is this going to push humanity and my community, my neighborhood? It doesn't, not everything has to be the whole world scale. It can just be like, is this good for my street? Are people going to like a block party? And so that's how I make my decisions, just kind of pushing the world or influencing in whatever way I can towards a true real world happiness. And so that's what drives me, is to work on things that I feel like I can add value and will make the world a better place. Sounds so cheesy, but it's true.
No, it's not. It's you know what? I always share whenever we're like, people are like, they give out their truth in their heart and they say that it's cheesy, but the truth is not that. That's the truth. And it's what our souls desire, right? So thank you for being so open and vulnerable, because this is really important. And I know that it's integral in our deepest nature, and we really appreciate you for being here. It's amazing to see you after a few months and to help you, or to see you, not even help you, to just open this deeper layer and really listen to that deeper layering of what you're sharing and why you're sharing it. Sigitas, do you want to share a little bit about you and your magic, brother? Where you're at, what you're up to, all the brilliance that you're bringing to the world by being yourself.
Yeah, just being myself, it's actually a very beautiful experience. I'm happy. I'm happy I was chosen in this body, in this lifetime, in this specific universe, with all these characteristics what I am. And that took me some time to jump in and start owning more and more, and accept my weirdness. And like Alana said, like, yeah, to leave this place better than we found. And living every day it counts. It's all about the journey for me. So I'm at the moment, I think we meet in that actually value, you know, like all of us here, that we want to live better than we found. And time is, it's not linear, and it can end at any point and any moment. So therefore, stepping into myself and shining, it became everyday kind of event and non-negotiable. At some point I was asked a really interesting question. I don't know why this comes to share, but my one friend asked me if I would choose my inner child or a wife, and I was not even negotiable. I'm like, I wouldn't let go of my inner child to choose like not to have a wife or not to have a inner child in life. That was like, no, like I choose inner child, like for sure, like first, that comes first, and then wife has to love it and accept it. And this is who I am, this is how I am, and you like it, you want it or not, or take it or not. And what I do at the moment, I live in the mountains, building a rocket, building pink rocket. Right behind here, the team is building a rocket. Maybe you can see the top. Became, yes, as we all here, I guess, very, very passionate about Bitcoin. And Bitcoin, I recognize Bitcoin as system based on love, literally. That's how for me was my aha moment. And when I realized that, I remembered that I was praying for many years, meditating, doing all kind of personal development work, and to figure it out. And in the end of all that journey, I found Bitcoin. And that was a very big shift in my life, to start living from values even deeper, to start going deeper into what proof of work means, and what all characteristics, but through psychology rather than technical side, through like what is this experience with Bitcoin, like literally. That's what I'm kind of exploring on the depth. And I see that, yeah, Bitcoin is it's a beast for the world today, and therefore this mission became to be a Bitcoin advocate, or whatever, like how you want to label, like maxi or nerd or whatever. It became a noble mission. And me and Eric, we starting doing this shows or conversations every day, and build it live. And I realized that building live and streaming it live, it becomes everything just exponentially more faster. And just as you said, like for you, 9 years, right? So for for me, I feel it's been quite many years where I live by my passion and I'm not focusing on money. And now with Bitcoin is it's very clear path where to go, what to do, and it comes more like from knowledge and heart alignment and knowing what to do and what to say and what to build in a moment. And yeah, something there, creating world from the heart and love, and valuing community beyond. And literally, like I wanna like, yeah, it's a community worth standing for, fighting for, putting life for. Literally, that's what is Bitcoin became. And yeah,
I love it.
I don't know
Thank
if
you.
I answered the question, but
No,
it's like
you're
some
being open and
paths.
honest. This is what's beautiful, and that this is the beingness part of you, brother, and this is what why we all love you, because you speak from the heart. And so what I'm hearing is that you found really a deep intentional responsibility of coming together with a group of people that are willing to live for more than just themselves.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's what I'm hearing.
It's not
Alana,
even it's not even a choice kind of anymore. It's like,
that's right.
it's a
Because
fuck yeah, it's a fuck yes situation, you know. So it's like it's a family going for to make a world a better place, literally. And we are doing that every day.
and by the way, we're not even fighting anymore. We're just building, which is really what Buckminster Fuller or Socrates has said. It's not about fighting the old, it's just about building the new. And if we focus our energy there, that's where the gift comes, right? So this is what's really exciting, is we're really applying those principles into the now by integrating that with a great responsibility. And I'm really excited about this because, for anyone that's listening or watching back, I got to meet Alana at Bitcoin Atlantis, and she had a preview of her amazing upcoming and now aired DirtyCoin, which she's a director at, and she's been in video and film. And it's something really beautiful that I observe, because you can see the sense of responsibility, the sense of communication, the clarity in the questions, and the quality of our questions determines the quality of our life, the quality of our responsibility, the quality of our relationships. And so by really listening and observing and watching, I saw that the principles inside of Bitcoin Atlantis were so aligned to our first principles, our nature's law, and how we must all step into that. And what I love really much, because I don't know if you know this, Alana, but I came there really not knowing much about Bitcoin. I came there only focused on the principles. So I sat there knowing that Bitcoin exists, but not understanding the principles. So I sat in the front row for the whole, and took the notes, and was looking for gaps, looking for misalignments, looking for incongruencies, to see, because of my journey of self-development, because of my journey of focus, because of my journey of knowing who I am and what I stand for, I was feeling and paying attention to my internal journey to understand the responsibility that this group or this community was stepping into, and if I could actually see any misalignments. And of course, there's different layers of integrity that, please, Mom, my mom's passing me some tea. Thank you, Mom.
Oh, wonderful.
Do you want to say hello? No, okay, thank you. She's in pajamas. So,
Oh, that's lovely.
So this is the thing, is that what I really discovered is noticing that, yeah, there's layerings where people are maybe at different levels of awareness or consciousness on stage. So when there's 4 people out of 5, there's always a few people that are at a higher level at the awakened soul. And then there's different people that may be working or operating at the socially conscious, or maybe really focused on the authoritarian, some tribal power gods, but essentially all levels of consciousness were available. And then you could really see, because dichotomy and different levels of awareness are always going to be available to us all. But paying attention to seeing different people's map of the world allows us to know who we align with. And this is what I really noticed with the preview that you showed of the upcoming DirtyCoin. And so I really wanted us to come here together to see how can we start to illuminate a pathway for the responsibility that you've taken on, because Sigitas is the one that brought me there, by the way. He was the one that was like, Eric, I see that you're going through the planet. You've been traveling the world for the last 6 years, focused on empowering culture, on creating change, on making focus, on getting people to see the wealth of wisdom in the person, in the reverence of the person, versus the manipulation of a dollar that was created by a human, instead of paying attention to the value of our spirit, of our nature, of our gifts. And so, and when I found Bitcoin and I discovered it, I saw that this is the vehicle, right? This is the vehicle that allows us to integrate a responsible role and get everybody to step into the highest, most outstanding level of identity. And so as a result, it gave me the insight to say, okay, what do we need to do to inform and educate? Because I'm a manifester by human design. So I inform and need to be informed. And as a result, this is a very similar system to Marcus Aurelius and the way that was able to really cultivate a meaningful response for societies. And so that system is so important for us all to be informed and get and navigate. And I believe, I haven't seen the video yet, but I'd love for you to maybe open up and share a little bit about DirtyCoin and why it was so important for you to bring this to life.
Okay, thank you. I still have aha moments with Bitcoin. So I can't say I had my aha moment, because I've had many very significant ones with Bitcoin. But my earliest aha moment was in 2018 when I found out that Cubans were sending Bitcoin into Cuba. Like Cubans that were outside of the island were sending Bitcoin to their family in Cuba. And that to me was kind of mind-blowing, because I'm half Cuban and my grandfather Cuban was telling me this, and here I am having a conversation with my then 80-something-year-old, now 92-year-old grandfather about Bitcoin and what it means. And I already knew about Bitcoin, about it like intellectually, but he didn't know about it intellectually, but he knew how it was being used. So, and I didn't know how it was being used. So we were able to come together, and I was able to explain to him what I knew at the time about Bitcoin. And, and then he told me, how interesting how Bitcoin is the Cubans are using it. And so that was my aha moment, because it was borderless money. It was internet money, borderless money, no government money. And now what that means is that how I spend my life and how I decide to, like, the value that represents my energy, my effort, I can do with it what I want. And I can send it to whoever I want. And I can really own my energy. I can own me, and I earned that. Nobody gave me that money, right? At least nobody gives me any money. And I earn it. And so it is really up to me to decide how I want to use that, obviously within the laws of the land. I'm not a complete anarchist, but, I did well, except for the fact that the Cubans were actually against the law. I don't think all laws are good. Show me a politician that's proposing removing laws and I'll pay attention. We need less regulation, not more. But that's a completely different tangent. I was in Silicon Valley at the time, and at the time in Silicon Valley, the people that were using Bitcoin were using it in Silk Road. So if you were into Bitcoin, you were probably buying drugs, and it was kind of taboo to even talk about Bitcoin because so many people were buying drugs with and other things on Silk Road. And so Bitcoin in a way almost became synonymous with Silk Road, but it already wasn't for me because I actually found out about Silk Road after. And in my opinion, I was like, wow, a money that even criminals trust, this must be good. It actually made me feel a lot more confident about it. But you know, whatever. And I just kept it to myself. I was working in a big Silicon Valley company at the time, and we were, you know, I was making a lot of films around the tech and ML and AI and data centers and how they work. And so whenever somebody would tell me something negative about Bitcoin, I would always look it up. Just to see, you know, what is it that they're talking about? And then, and I had done that about Silk Road, and I did that about a couple of things. But when people started telling me, when it started bubbling up that Bitcoin was bad for the environment, I was like, oh, no way. Bitcoin has another dirty reputation. Bring it on. Let me hear it. And then it was like, oh, it's bad for the environment because of all the electricity it requires. And I was like, why is electricity use a bad thing? And I would usually break the person, and I still do when people are like, oh yeah, because it just sucks up so much electricity, right? Because people find out about me, I'm making a film about Bitcoin mining. It's called DirtyCoin. They immediately assume kind of where I'm, like my stance and my view on it. And then they'll tell me that, oh, right, because it's so bad, so it had consumed so much electricity. And I'm like, and why is that a bad thing? Like, why is that a bad thing? And they'll be like, well, interesting. You're right. Why is that a bad thing? Well, because there's better uses for it. Like they don't even know why it's a bad thing. They just kind of like, oh, it's a bad thing. And so I decided to make a movie that explained how it does consume a lot of electricity. And I felt like, I had handled myself on it. I knew what a data center looked like. I saw a Bitcoin mining operation. I was like, well, that makes sense because it's a network, and I get it. But then I kept hearing, it was just so annoying to kept hearing that narrative escalate, that Bitcoin mining consumes a lot of electricity and that it's going to only get worse. The environment's only going to get worse. By the year 2020, Bitcoin will consume all of the world's electricity. It's going to be terrible, right? And I was seeing how the Bitcoiners were responding, the Bitcoin miners. Now, granted, Bitcoin doesn't have a public relations department. It doesn't have a marketing department. So it's kind of like every man for himself, right? It's like every Bitcoin miner kind of for themselves, talking to their local politicians, letting them know, bro, I'm just, you know, my warehouse just has computers. I'm paying for you for the electricity. I'm not a criminal. And when and those brave enough to go on TV, I admire them for going on TV, but they were not well PR trained, and I was. And I was very well marketing trained and PR trained from my being a filmmaker in Silicon Valley for commercial and corporate purposes. And I just felt like it was a lot of downplaying on it was not that much. It's not that much. It's not that much. And it's like, well, I actually think that the fact that it is a lot is why you can mitigate methane. It's why effectively and to great degree, it's why you can afford to build new infrastructure in Africa, in South America, because you're coming in and you are spending millions of dollars of electricity a month. And so now there's this customer that enables the utility to make money off their wasted product, enabling them to have a better business and serve the rest of their customers better by creating new infrastructure. So I felt that the power of Bitcoin mining was that it actually consumed a lot of electricity. That wasn't its weakness. I think that that's its strength, because it's looking for this electricity that nobody was buying, nobody was wanting. At this point, right? Bitcoin mining has changed a lot. Every epoch brings kind of like a different miners into the space. And, you know, I'm not going to say that this is the case all the time. And there have been some negative reasons why turning on a bunch of miners in somebody's house suddenly creates a brownout in the community around them, and that has happened and been reported. So, it's a new technology, and it's kind of, I feel like I'm chaotic good, so I'm okay with a little bit of chaos moving forward in technology. You got to break the shells, to make some eggs. So, but I would say in total, I saw that it was a positive thing. And I felt not only was it a positive thing, I felt that people's relationship with electricity and energy was so, like, it wasn't just a problem of misunderstanding Bitcoin, it's a problem of misunderstanding energy and electricity, understanding what produces electricity, how we produce it, how far it transports. When people say, oh, that electricity in West Texas could be used for a better purpose, it's like, who's going to move to the bit to, like, who? They're welcome to buy that electricity, and they have been welcome to buy it for a long time. These people are in the middle of nowhere. And like some of the facilities that I've been to are in the middle of nowhere. Nobody else is buying that electricity. So our relationship with, I mean, you see it in the news. It's like Europe urging people to de-industrialize, to use less, to conserve, and this idea of scarcity of energy. When we have energy all around us, and we have 0-point devices, for example, that have been proven to create unlimited amount of electricity. And so, but these things have been suppressed. And so I don't think that this is just a fight against Bitcoin. It's really a fight against our relationship with energy and electricity. And so when I knew I wanted to leave the corporate world and I wanted to do something original, and when I knew that a documentary would take a lot of time, and that it's taken already 2 years of my life, and now it's when it's done, now another 2 years begins, or 3 years, or really the rest of my life talking about the film. And I knew it's like a tattoo. You make a movie, it's like a tattoo. People will keep asking you about that movie until you're old and gray. They're, hey, that movie you made in 2024. And so I was like, what am I willing to live with for the rest of my life? And days are numbered, and what is going to, I think, create the biggest impact. And so I felt Bitcoin and energy, and getting people to a place where they're going from, and aim it at new people that have a misunderstanding on both of these things, and open up that Pandora's box enough for them to look in and want to come in and look in, which is what that movie is. And then just kind of let them have their own aha moments after that. Let them keep digging, it's just one movie. I'm not going to complete, all I can do is nudge them, look over here, that's all I can do. And I need to do that in an entertaining way that makes them kind of think. And the way the universe works, whatever light bulbs go off for them, as I'm sure you guys have experienced this phenomenon, suddenly you see it in the newspaper, suddenly you see it online, suddenly you see a friend tells you that they're doing that. So you are now aware enough of that now you can receive even more information from the universe. And so that is why I decided to work on this film, because I felt that it was a fuck yeah. It was I can do this. I can talk about energy, and I can talk about this for a long time. And I was humble enough to know that I didn't know. So the journey of discovery was very exciting. I was like, wow, I'm going to go to all these countries and see if this is really true. Are they actually building new infrastructure? I want to see the substations with my own eyes. And, boots on the ground, talking to other people. I was a skeptic. I was wearing my skeptic hat the whole time. I would ask people that were not, I would want to get out of the mine and talk to locals. And it's like, all right, tell me, how's it going? And they're like, yeah, it's kind of noisy. And we talked about it, and they're going to put a fence up, and we're going to see what happens there. It wasn't always positive. And some of the other times but most of the time was that, yeah, those guys are really cool. There's really not a lot of traffic coming in and out. And we have this new substation that we're going to connect a hospital to. And that's really cool. So even with my skeptic hat, I just kept seeing green flags everywhere. So that discovery phase made me feel like I didn't even know how right I was before I started the journey. And then I saw a lot of confirmation and a lot of areas where it can be a negative implementation of the data center, of like where to use it, and there are bad ways of doing it. So it opened my eyes to just kind of like the nuance in that conversation. And so now I'm really happy to say that there were quite a few at Warsaw at the premiere. There were maybe the theater was packed. There were people sitting on the stairs, so that was good energy. There's a lot of energy in the theater, and half of I don't know if half, but like a good third at least of the theater were not Bitcoiners. So that, and the other 2/3 were the hardcore European maxis. So I had both people in the room, and they both liked it, and that was definitely a confirmation for me, because other than me and my editor and my animator had only seen a portion of the film, nobody else had seen the film before the premiere. Nobody, not even my husband, not all of my animators, illustrators, like nobody knew what the hell I was doing until, and so when I was put it up there, I put it in the theater, first time I even saw it on the big screen, because I had been traveling and doing everything out of my laptop. And yeah, and it was a good feeling. And from there, we have a bunch of screenings going on. It has been really tough for me to sell the film, I'll be honest. Bitcoiners are stoked about it after they hear it, but I have talked to a lot of distributors that say they already have a crypto movie that they're working on, and they're already in, like, they put me in the crypto movie box. But, you know, that was obviously before the movie was done. The movie, it hasn't even been a month. Now that the movie's done, I can actually show them what I'm talking about and not say it's a Bitcoin mining documentary. It's in my head right now. It's not in my head anymore. I can show it. But I'm not waiting for anybody. This train isn't waiting for anybody. Right now, I'm still the executive producer of this film. So I intend on getting this film distributed and out there no matter what. And that was my decision going into this. And now we have screenings in Miami, Nashville, Arnhem, Berlin, Austin, New York, San Juan, Atlanta. And these are sponsors that are sponsoring screenings, private screenings. These are people that are getting the private license to license the film. Actually, there's more of those cities that are not on my board. So we are on our way to actually becoming a profitable film as well. And my intention is to have DirtyCoin be one of the most profitable documentaries. So that's kind of like another goal of mine, because it's really important to do things that you love. But I really am also in it for the money, because I have a family. I have to put food on the table for 5 every single day, sometimes 3 times a day. And that, for me, money is food, it's shelter, it's education, it's travel, it's clothing, for 5. And I am the breadwinner of the family. So it is my responsibility to make sure that those things are covered. And with DirtyCoin, through merch, through ticket sales, we're going to go to the box office. We're going to, I think that, feel free to break me off at any point, but I'll finish this point. I think that filmmakers have gotten a little soft, and they've just kind of want to finish a movie and have Netflix buy it for them for many millions of dollars. And old school filmmakers had to test their movies out in the movie theater. Like, you got to go to the box office, you know, Blockbuster is not going to ask for your cassette if you had no traction in the box office. So box office, in a way, is proof of work. It's proof of people actually showing up, giving of their time and their money to go see the movie. And so we're going to theaters first. We're not even thinking about a streaming play. I want people, imagine going to a theater to watch this movie. Who else is going to be in that movie theater with you? Those are going to be probably your next best friend, probably your next business partner, probably your wife, you know, probably, like, you know, who else is going to be there watching that and in that moment in time. And I feel like it's like a little honeypot for creative souls that are like looking for answers, and you're going to meet them in person. And you don't meet them if you are watching it on Netflix on your computer at home. You know, you meet them going to the indie theater in your town that's playing the movie for a couple weekends. It's an indie doc. but who are you going to meet in those couple of weekends? And how successful can we make that experience where people are talking about it and we can create a grassroots movement that gets theaters calling us saying, can we put your movie in our theater? Because I'm nowhere online. I really want to respect that process, that old school filmmaker producer process. And you're putting a lot of money on the line to market it. You're putting a lot of money on the line, but at the end of the day, it's like you see that return. It's not just one big fat check from one person. It's a lot of little checks from a lot of people all over the world giving you their hard-earned money. And I feel like I want to achieve that at a very grand scale. And I want all of them to have a really great experience and go to the bar after, go to the tea shop after, and talk about what they discussed in the film and continue their journey.
Wow. Beautiful. I have to just really tilt my hat to you, because I'm really hearing a lot of organic development and the way that it's coming from your heart and soul, and also a different perspective on the way that we acquire community development. So I think that instead of marketing, what I'm hearing is it's really coming from a place of education. It's coming from a place of just genuine wanting to inform others by getting them to really take it seriously. And one thing that one of my teachers, Tony Robbins, has always said is, when people pay, they pay attention. And it's interesting because it's the truth, right? When you pay with some sort of energy, some sort of philosophy, there is some sort of intention that's growing. And I do believe that this stranded energy of suppression, whether it's the electricity that people are inefficient about, or money that they're inefficient about, and that whole held of scarcity, that strandedness, that you're educating about in terms of the electricity. It's also the same thing in terms of money. And so by offering the film, how can we get more of that thought process of service towards kind of these communities that we want to empower to come and visit the film through a trailer, through education, through people and great conversations like this, open forum conversations, to get them even more curious about knowing that this type of screening is happening here, here, and here. And as a result, they are being offered or stepping into an informative, organic development that can change the nature of not just their awareness of what's happening around them in the world, but also how they get to be involved. And I think that that's the thing, is that people want to be involved in something greater than themselves. And of course, I haven't seen the documentary and I can't wait to watch it. But in addition to that, I know the essence of it, right? So it's the importance, and we're working on some stuff in terms of mining and inefficiencies here in Alberta and Canada. But the most important thing is to inform this kind of organic development, so people are realizing, hold on a second, there is something inorganic about the existing system. And perhaps getting that curiosity out of them would be by having these conversations, by opening up these open forums. Do you see a way to create even more organic development? And please, Sigitas, if you want to add to that curiosity, please let me know.
Yeah, I want to admire your path a lot. Like, it sounds super cool, the way you chose to present, and I remember like watching you on stage in Atlantis, and I saw your mischievous, coming through the back doors, like kind of like that. That's so cool to me as well. I want to ask about, have you considered like going all the way with the value for value principle, like letting information free, letting movie free, and allowing the community to step in, and knowing the message that you need to feed the 5 people, that you're responsible. That would, I think, like, hey, this is, like, even like, I think it's just can be the funnel kind of situation, towards you, like in choosing to contribute rather than putting a price on it. That would be my kind of.
So I'll start with yours, and then I'm going to go with yours, Eric's. With Stranded, I gave it away for free. Anybody could play it for free. It had to be in person. That was my only condition. You had to play it in person with at least one other person. So my idea with Stranded was, if you have a meetup or if you want to just hang out with your buddies and watch it, you are more than welcome to screen Stranded for free. And if you want to host, if you want to get sponsors for an event, if you're a conference, it doesn't matter. It is free. You are free to use it. And we had our Bitcoin wallet, our Venmo wallet, I think that's it. Yeah, Bitcoin and Venmo. And I think that in total, we've had over 100 meetups screen it around the world. We've had maybe of those 100 meetups, I don't know, 10 or 12 of them were conferences that bought tickets. And we probably made $350 of people giving value for value. And this has been a movie that I now listen to people quoting in podcasts talking about my movie. So it did provide value for them, yet $300 doesn't pay for one ticket to one of the places that I went to. So if I think that we're not ready, I think that is a good idea, but the value, sometimes you have to ask for the value that you require, because then you resent the work, and I don't want to resent the work. So with DirtyCoin, like if I can't make money doing this right now in the middle of the day, I would have to have another job. Yesterday I was running all over creation, signing stuff for the film, then going to talk about the film. I need to make money. Again, I have to put food on the table. So if this is not a charity, this is a way of showing that you can be a conscious capitalist, that you can create something that the world needs and bill fairly for it, or bill what you think is fair for it, and whoever wants it enough will buy it, and whoever doesn't goes away. And when I see a lot of these and I've spoken with a lot of other Bitcoin filmmakers that put up their work for free on YouTube, and they're incredible videos, like incredible work, so good. My hat's off to some of the things that these guys are doing, all of the things practically. They're traveling around the world, they're showing how to use Bitcoin, they're spreading the word, they're creating these incredible shows, and they're not making a lot of money. They have to also, they're not making, most of them are not making any money. And so I do think that, and this is not what you are doing at all, but some in the Bitcoin community kind of bully Bitcoin creators into giving their stuff away for free, because that is the ethos of Bitcoin. But that is not the ethos of filmmaking. That is not the ethos of an artist that wants to be a sustainable artist, that needs to, that in order to really focus on your art, you need to then have your financials taken care of. And if your art can take care of your financials, then you don't need to have another job, which is what a lot of these YouTubers and filmmakers then have to end up doing. They have to have their fiat job, and then they have their side gig. And so and then they resent the side gig, even though it's their passion. And then they resent the fact that people don't send them any Bitcoin. And I was in a room with a lot of us talking about that. And I was like, well, I've billed the whole way. And I tried with Stranded, and because I raised investment money for it, real sponsorship for it. I knew that this was going to cost a lot of money. This is not my first rodeo. I've made a lot of corporate documentaries where we also traveled the world, and we also interviewed a bunch of people, and I just knew how it was going to cost money. My camera guy wasn't doing it value for value. My camera guy billed me money. My illustrator billed me money. Everybody billed me money. The American Airlines billed me money, and Airbnb did as well. So It's important that, in my opinion, and for an artist like me, I think that there's all kinds of artists, like you said, Sigitas, that we all need to embrace our uniqueness. My uniqueness is because I have a big family and I don't come from money and I don't have any saved money or anything like that. I'm a college dropout. I'm responsible for my own freedom and the freedom and the wealth of my family. And so I do think that when people pay, they pay attention. And I can see that even in myself, if it's like something free versus something that I have to pay for. I do recognize the difference. And there are so many examples of that that I've studied. But then, so no. So basically, if people don't want to pay for it, they don't have to see it. And my example with Stranded was that if I were to go with that strategy, I would be losing money on this, and therefore I could not continue to do it. And so I need this. Yeah, so that's it. So whoever doesn't want to pay for it, they can go ahead and they can not pay for it and not see it. But I do want to create a situation, kind of like what Angel Studios has done. And we are working on a system where if somebody has a lot of money and they want to buy tickets so that people that can't pay for it, that ticket, get, claim that ticket for free, we definitely want to implement something like that, because I do want people, there are some of us that are in a better financial position than others. So let's say you enjoyed the movie, you can buy the 4 more tickets for 4 other people to go and watch it, and they can go and watch it for free. I'm all for getting this into as many hands as possible. And honestly, once the film makes its money back and makes a lot of profit, we can decide what we want to do with it then. But, we can hold it. We can hold it for now. We can have it make the money. Now is when it's hot. Now is when we're talking about it. Now is when we can monetize it. And who knows in the future what we decide to do with the movie. But for now, the movie has to be profitable. And I urge creators to, as somebody that has been in this career for 15 years, I mean, the ones that stick around are the ones that are profitable. Otherwise, you're just like an influencer online, and that doesn't really, maybe it's good for the ego, but it's not good for anything else. And so, yes, so that's that. For people that want to get involved, Twitter is a good place for tourists. We have a Twitter account. Anybody that wants to kind of know what's going on, they can follow our Twitter page and they can know where the screenings are happening. Right now, there are a lot of people that are actually purchasing the license and making the film free for everybody in their community. They're deciding to do that. And that's their choice. They've already paid us, and they can decide to show the movie for free in their community. I believe Berlin is billing for tickets, and they're also giving a lot of tickets away for free. And that's their decision. It's their event, but we've already, paid for the translation. For example, translating into German also cost us money. So all of those the translators and, all these checkpoints cost money. But then we also have a Telegram group, and the Telegram group is if anybody wants to be a part of the conversation. And I started that early on because I didn't want to just be like, I'm taking this documentary on and it's just going to be what I say. I invited miners and Bitcoiners and environmentalists and a bunch of people, whoever wanted. It was an open invitation to come to our Telegram group and discuss. And I would mention where I was visiting. I would ask for, do you know anybody in this country? Do you know anybody in this town? And that was a great place. I would put what I found, what I recorded, and then people would ask me questions like, hey, can you check with them what this is and that is? So for those who were there from the beginning 2 years ago, they were a part of the creation of the film itself. And now people can be a part of like the distribution conversation and other conversations as well. So that's that. Now, how can people take this on? This documentary called, I think it's called Awake, if I'm not mistaken. It's of the man that brought yoga to the United States, to America, not just the United States. There was a documentary on him, and it is actually one of the most profitable documentaries ever made. And I've been learning a lot about all the things that they did. And one of the things that they did was that they created these public screening licenses, and a lot of yoga instructors would license the film before they made it available online. The only way you could watch this documentary was in the theaters or in a private screening. And so a lot of yoga schools bought the screening license to screen the film, and they were able to create full day events with panels and sponsors and all these different things around this movie about, you know, this person that created that. And that was a really good, and one of the things that the producer was saying, the executive producer of the documentary, was that he found that certain yoga groups, it united their community more. So they kept getting more and more public screening licenses because they're each for one day screening. They kept getting more and more, and they were making money off their screenings, and they were engaging their community a lot better. So I hope that that would be the case with DirtyCoin. Berlin, for example, I'm not producing that screening. That's for the Berlin meetup. And, you know, it's a German Bitcoiner that's putting that together. And that's his way of like bringing that message. And he's designing the whole party. Like, he's designing the whole thing. It's like, it's his vision of how he wants to share this with his community. And so that's another way, like, if I guess there's different levels of deepness. If somebody watches the film, and actually anybody that's seriously interested in a license can contact me. For now, I don't know how many contacts I'll get after saying this, but they can contact me, and I am sharing the movie with anybody that's willing. You know, they don't have to license it blind. They can watch it, and they can then decide if they want to screen it. And then, you know, that's a way that they can screen it. They can host a panel afterwards. So depending on how involved in it and how much the person liked the movie, they can then take it on and use it as an anchor to an activity that they can then build around. So it's like, come and watch the movie, come and see a panel, where it's a great opportunity. It's a great movie to invite new people, and a great opportunity to invite politicians and anybody involved in their local energy. You could be saving your electrical grid if you bring on people. Like, I'm going to do a screening here, and we're already inviting the people of the electric utility here, because anybody that has wasted electricity, and nobody knows this better than utilities, is a potential person that could mine Bitcoin. They could, you know, buy some ASICs connected to whatever node they have that has extra electricity, and they can become more profitable. They can have Bitcoin in the books, which would prevent them from having a catastrophic, you know, downturn in the future or whatever. So, you know, for me, I want to also encourage decentralized mining. So that's another one of my goals with the movie as well. So yeah, so I think that there's going to be different levels, and depending on how much DirtyCoin really fills a need or a void for different people, they can go from retweeting and watching, like going to watch the movie. We're going to be in Nashville. We have a big space in Nashville. We're going to have up to 800 seats. So let's see if we can fill out 800 seats in Nashville. And then we have a couple of way smaller ones coming up in the summer as well. So yeah, if it really speaks to people, they can then kind of just take on the movie and show it to the people in their community.
So beautiful.
Yeah, you know what I sorry, Eric, I just
Sorry?
need to say this, but I feel what we need a movie about Alana, how she's making the DirtyCoin. The story is phenomenal. You know, like the way you see, the way you think about the steps, it's really profound. I'm really honored to hear all of the story here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. You guys are great listeners, so I appreciate it.
I agree. I think that it's important to pay attention to the stories of why, because the why becomes the way. And I always share that then when we really recognize our why, it will create our way, and we'll walk that no matter what uncertainties lie in our circumstances. Will create that certainty within ourselves. And I really like, you know, because in terms of the energy companies and sustainable communities and how this can be impacted in terms of bringing community more together to help them, educate them, understand the responsibilities that they can step into, you know, these energy partners, you know, creators, legend, people that have been around for centuries, you know, doing the work inside of the energy sector. So I think that this is kind of a very organic way to bring, you know, a lot of these executives in, communicate with them, help them understand this importance. You know, whether it's in a big video, or sorry, a big theater, and have you know, major players sitting there and helping them really anchor this future that they can be a part of if they choose to, you know. And there's a lot there that I'm excited to unpack in the coming months with you and talk about deeper, because of what we're already, you know, the relationships we've already built and building, and the projects that we're undertaking. And I think that this would be a great way, you know, to really build, you know, not only, like you said, this type of event that then we can have really open discussions about, that we can really execute action plans, that we can talk about what's the responsibilities that we're stepping into, rather than just watching a movie and saying, hey, great, that's cool. But like, what are we doing as a result of the information? You know, knowledge is potential power unless it's execution. That's where the real wisdom comes in, right? So it's great to listen and watch these movies, even to listen to what we're talking about. But like, at the end of the day, what are we doing? What are we taking action on? And having the right people in the room to really be able to be those decision makers and implement them is where I believe that's what's going to be the greatest impact of this movie. That's what's going to really help people understand the responsible role of this movie. And then as a result, holding them to that standard, holding them to that level of accountability, holding them to know what the next step is, and being a part of that together. Like, it doesn't need to be, they need to do it alone. We guide, support, help, get the right resources. You know, it's not a matter of resources, matter of resourcefulness, right? So this is where, you know, I'm excited to listen more. You know, I can't wait. I definitely want to watch it like fast.
Yeah.
So we have a
I'll have
lot.
you guys watch it, and then we'll do another talk, and we'll do
Yeah,
that like, I
I
don't know,
would
in a
really
couple
like
weeks
that.
or something.
I would really like that, because we can really unpack a lot of energy from watching it. Uh, and I'll have lots of questions, and because I'm a curious mind, and I know also, I know that it'll give me a lot of ideas, and it will also help stir some others, and then I can start moving a lot more energy in other places as well. So that is something that I am excited for, and I can't wait. And we'll do a lot of good things, Alana. I genuinely feel your confidence and your certainty in the way that you show up. I love the fact that you're like, no, we're not giving this away for free. I love that. That makes me so excited, because it shows me that you know your value, and it's in your essence. It's not in like, there's no ego here. It's your essence. It's your like, I know what this is meaningful, and we're not settling for anything less. And this is our community's responsibility, is to hold those standards, because we are going up against people that have owned their value in the darkness. So now we get to own our value in the fucking light. And that is really exciting, you know? And so I acknowledge this wisdom that you hold, and I acknowledge this massive responsibility that you've stepped into. And I can't wait to support you.
Thank you. Thank you. This
Oh,
has been a wonderful journey with a lot of incredible people. I mean, I feel so honored, like so honored. And I started believing in God later, early in life, then not, and then again. And I'm in the phase where I totally 100% feel that there is a something bigger than me that is illuminating, that is making coincidences happen in my life, that's making me lucky and helping me find the people. I have been able to find the people that I need every step of the way, like just completely by not by accident. You know, you have to step up, you have to show up, right? Like I had to show up to Madeira. I had to not stay in my room after a full day of conference and go to a party and meet you guys. And you know, you gotta put yourself out there, and I'm doing my part. And I feel like there's something in the universe that's doing their part as well. And I really appreciate the being seen by the universe, you know, because I feel like having this conversation with people like you guys is just like it just opens another door, you know, another two doors. And it just continues. It just kind of gives you another pass, you know, like another day with great minds. So thank you.
We thank you. Honestly, I love the fact that you're tapped in. You can see the connection. And it's important for us to hold that space of giving permission, not that people need it, but I think that sometimes the mind needs it. The ones that are listening to say, hey, it's okay, like start shining. Those that are willing to shine or shining brighter are gonna hold you up and help you shine. The ones that are telling you not to shine are the ones that are scared to do it themselves, and so that they will put a limitation on you. And so it's so important for us to come together like this and say, hey, no, let's shine brighter. How can we help? What can we do? You know, like how can we continue to bring more of that light together? Because I can express from my own experience that every time I've been around the world, a lot of people, because of this intense energy that I have and I've always had, I'm very aware of it. And as a result, people have said, hey, Eric, you're a little bit too much. And I said, you know what? No, I'm not. You just don't see the value because you haven't found it inside of yourself. And so this is something that and then as a result of owning that, you own that, you start bumping into people that are like, yeah, Eric, keep shining, you know, keep going. And so this is where we have to really come together. And I really resonate with what you say. It's like, you know, own that, share that, go out there, be out there. And then as a result, the people, you are attracting them, you know, and that's what you're doing.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, I do need to cut this very soon. So if you guys want to wrap it up or any other last thoughts, I would love to hear any last thoughts.
I
Last
would
thoughts
like
for
to
me.
share, yeah, like I would like to share that it felt somehow very sad to hear how Bitcoin community is in the mindset of hodl. It seems like to me, and that feels like a red flag for some reason. Is because it's a closed loop system, and 19 point something million is already distributed. And if we're not gonna use to support artists, if we're not gonna use to create and share information widely, and it's just like, what's the point of Bitcoin then? What's the point of hodling? I cannot understand that. Like literally, if people are sitting on Bitcoin and not supporting projects like yours, you know, by value for value principle, then it's kind of it feels something is not developed enough. That's my last thoughts on it. It just feels a bit sad.
So what I'm hearing is, how can we unstrand the energy? Because if we're really willing to build a new economy,
Oh,
if we're really willing
oh.
to manifest a way where there's abundant energy around the planet, not only in any energy company, but also in the electricity and in any ways that we can develop it and add it to the Bitcoin network. What can we do to also empower people to exchange instead of hodl? And that will, I believe, will unstrand a lot of energy. And so I believe that the Bitcoin mining, that the movie, and I can't, again, once I watch it, I'll be able to really put the pattern together, because you'll start to see, I mean, I know I'll start to see the patterns of how energy in terms of the companies, but also the energy in terms of the people, it will start to be capital and labor, and that harmony will start to be able to be created equilibrium, where instead of hodling, that Bitcoin mining becomes like, hey, we are the Bitcoin miners. We are able to bring that energy, that wealth, that spirit, that necessary to exchange our value. And that becomes no more hodling. That becomes, we're giving more than we ever expect to receive. And as a result of our abundant nature and the abundant nature of our beautiful creation and our great planet, we as a result are embodying that nature and then helping encourage that energy to come through us rather than keep that blockage. Just like the strandedness is happening inside of the electricity. So there's a pattern recognition there. And I'm excited to see how you've been able to tap into that.
We'll unlock that next time for sure. But
Yeah.
I can say that I agree completely with you, Sigitas, that hodl is a red flag. And I think that if you're hodling, I understand why you wouldn't want to get rid of everything. Of course, you want to, you know, especially if you have kids, you want to like keep wealth for their future. But we need to use it now. We have it now. And I love paying people. I always offer to pay people in Bitcoin. I have tipped every single crew person that worked for me. I tipped all of them in Bitcoin. I offered to pay them in Bitcoin, and only one took me up on it, and I did pay him in Bitcoin. But everybody else, I would walk them through downloading a wallet and sending them Bitcoin right away, and just, you know, $10, $15. And what's cool is that I started doing that a couple of years ago, and Bitcoin has come up since then. So they came in at that bear, you know, and they've seen their Bitcoin climb. And I love getting screenshots from them telling me that, you know, their Bitcoin is up higher, and they get excited about it. And they're like, now I know Bitcoin. And somebody sent me a message, and he said that somebody had offered to pay him in Bitcoin, and it was only the second person to do so. I was the first, and he said yes. And he's going to hold it, you know, going back to that mentality. But I think that the more places that also accept Bitcoin, and and people see that they can spend their Bitcoin, and more merchants understand that they can accept it, that there's a, you know, they're basically getting that Bitcoin at the cost of their goods. So if you're selling a good, let's say your plate cost you $4 to make, but you're selling it for 15, then you just made $11 profit on that Bitcoin. Like you got that Bitcoin for $4, $11 for the Bitcoin. So I do think that getting more and more people to understand and come on board and embrace the Bitcoin economy and exchange, and that's happening. It's just a matter of, like, I feel like I'm doing my part by, I've had conversations with people before finishing the movie that said, I like Bitcoin, but I don't like the Bitcoin mining. I get that. I've gotten that so many times still, actually. But after people have watched my film, even with Stranded, and I think that DirtyCoin is going to be more impactful even than Stranded. But people that finish watching Stranded that are not Bitcoiners said, I'm still not sure about Bitcoin, but I really like Bitcoin mining. So by being able to handle one of the main apprehension points, I hope that I can open up people's minds to be like, oh, okay, well then what is Bitcoin? Because We don't, we describe it very briefly in the film, but we really just focus on the energy and the mining. And I hope that that'll just make people want to start learning about it more. And I don't think everybody's going to click. I do think that you need to be a special kind of person with a special kind of aptitude for learning new things and accepting new realities. I think that, you know, it's going to be those people that are going to fall first, but there's a lot of those people, and and when I mean fall first, I often think of like a funnel that only has a particular shape, and only things that are that shape can go through that layer. And then that goes down to the bottom layer, and then is able to create another funnel with other shapes that then they can bring their friends and family. And ultimately, it's going to be a runaway effect and global effect, and it's occurring. But I agree that there are red flags within the Bitcoin community. And Eric, you mentioned it at what you experienced at the conference. And I experience that in Bitcoin conferences all the time, where I'm like, this person is either a controlled opposition, CIA, name any of the other intelligence agencies, or some other, they're here for a nefarious reason. And they are planting seeds that a lot of Bitcoiners will just kind of chant what they hear. And that's where it becomes culty. And I think that we need to be able to disagree with the things that we disagree. And there are people that are specifically planting particular things to get the Bitcoin community to kind of behave and do things, because that's what Bitcoiners do. And because this one guy says it. And I do think that that's very much on purpose to stifle the growth of Bitcoin. And I see it at the highest levels. So there are unfriendlies to Bitcoin. And I mean, yeah, there's a lot that we need to keep our eyes open. And it's not like, oh, you're safe, you're in Bitcoin now. It's like, I don't know, every conference I'm in, I now expect a quarter of the people there to be intelligence. How safe am I? You know, I don't know. Maybe I find my best friends, the other 3/4 freedom-minded folks, but I know for a fact that there are some nefarious folks that are going to all of these conferences and pretending to be somebody that they're not. I know that for a fact. So I do think that it's super important to always keep that skeptic mind, and you know, what got you into Bitcoin, keep that curiosity going, and keep that, you know, because there are definitely some folks that are impeding the progress of Bitcoin within the Bitcoin community.
Thank you so much for your time, Alana. I know you got to go. I want to just last question kind of ask you before we end off is, like, if you had 3 days left to live, what would you do?
3 days to live. I would do a big party, invite all my friends the first day, all my friends and everybody that I know, and say goodbye. And then the second and third day, I would go with my immediate family, my husband and my 3 kids. And we would probably stay in this house. I really like my house here in Puerto Rico. And we would make delicious food and look at pictures of our life and say goodbye.
Beautiful. And if anybody wants to connect with you about the licenses and how to connect with you best, where's the best place to go to find you?
Good question. Telegram is getting a little out of hand. So I was directing everybody to Telegram, and then Telegram got a little out of hand. Twitter is a tough place. I would say Twitter is a good place, because then I can kind of see them as well. I can see who they are, you know, what they put out in the world, even if they're anon, you know, I see what kind of anon they are. So I would say Twitter is a good place. LinkedIn is a good place as well. Those are the only 2 spots that I'm in. I did start an Instagram for DirtyCoin, but I'm not managing that account. I want to stay as far away from Meta as possible, but I understand it's good for marketing the movie. But I would say Twitter and LinkedIn are good places for people to contact me personally.
Cool.
And I
Sigitas,
can
you have
send
anything
those links and you
Please.
can put them up if you want.
I will, 100%.
Thank you.
Sigitas,
Yeah,
you want
thank
to
you.
finish off?
Yeah, thank you, Alana, for finally jumping on this call. I've been looking forward for quite a while to talk to you again and reconnect, and it's been amazing to see your beautiful energy and continuously glowing and owning yourself. Really inspiring. Really, really. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for the rocket that you gave me in Madeira as well. You gave me one of the little yeah, it's so beautiful. It's just so beautiful. My son broke it by mistake, and he was so heartbroken because I had kept it like not broken for like a long time. And he broke it, and then he was like, he gave it to me, and his eyes were like, so sorry. And then I was like, well, let's see what's inside now. And so we like saw everything that you had put inside. And then, you know, we discovered the inside that had not been revealed to me yet. So, you know, we turned it into a discovery of your rocket, a new discovery. So thank you.
Enjoy.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for your time and your energy and your attention and seeing me. I appreciate that. And I will continue to see you guys, and I'll send you the links, and we can keep going on our Telegram chat. We can keep going. Anybody that's still on talks to me on Telegram can continue to do so, but just not more people.